What's going on there, YouTube? Man, I got a deal today. This is an original release Tamiya CC01 Isuzu MU, or Amigo here in the States. It's the lowrider version. So I got this for 140 bucks, and I believe that was shipped. And it's completely brand new, assembled, never ran, never painted, never used at all. It's got some scratches a little bit on the top and some sticky stuff from being stored. There's a little bit of a few scuffs on the front bumper where it was kind of packaged, but overall it's an excellent deal. Now Tamiya just re-released the CC01 chassis with the Amigo or the Isuzu MU body on it, but they have not released a kit version of the lowered version. You can buy re-release of the lowrider kit. Not really a lowrider kit, but it comes with springs and these tires and wheels and a few little odds and ends to get it to set like this. And this is one of those RC bucket list things. I wanted this so bad when I was a kid, and I just never could afford to buy. You know, I was working for change in the summers to try and buy RC parts as a kid, and I had a TA02 touring car. It was pretty expensive habit. I had a lot of upgrades on it, and yeah, never got a chance to have an original CC01 base rig. Now, if you're familiar with these, back before we had Trailfinder 2s and Axial SCX10s, the CC01 was a common, call it a whipping boy of the hobby. Everybody tried to make them crawl, and they do not crawl. They have an independent front suspension, a live rear axle with a ridiculously awkward 4-link, and yeah, they're not great crawlers. They look kind of cool. They're very scale height, and that's why they were popular. I actually have some original tires, not original wheels, but these are the original tires that come on the 4-wheel drive version of this, the Jeep Wrangler, and the Mitsubishi Pajero. And see, these are a good bit shorter, a lot more wheel, and I just thought, you know, it's one of those things I always wanted. And it's the lowered version, so it'll keep me away from trying to make it a crawler. I had a CC01 Jeep 8 years ago, 9 years ago, somewhere around there, and I swapped a steering servos on the front, trying to clean up, because the steering on these is pretty outrageous. The way, you know, Tamiya kids, they want the servo back in the middle for whatever reason, even back in the early 90s. So yeah, the steering linkage and stuff on it, there's a lot of slop. But yeah, we're not going to do that to this. This is unmolested, all original. It even has the mechanical speed controller in it. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if I'm going to try to use it or not, but I do want to drive this. I want to see how it handles. The suspension on this thing feels phenomenal. I don't know what kind of fluid it has in it, if there's even any in it at all. But yeah, it's pretty cool. The body is yellowed a little bit. It's never been protected. All these bodies tend to get a little yellow over time. It's mainly on top. It's been exposed to light. The hood, the fenders and the sides are not as noticeable. It will need a very thorough cleaning before paint, but it's all there. It has the headlight lenses. It has the mirrors. It has the rear bumper and the tire carrier, which I do not have on it. But it does have them. I have the original front brush guard thing that bolts to the chassis. It has, yeah, it's got everything. The windows, the hard top, it's all there. And it's all in very nice condition. So, yeah, let's dig a little deeper into this, kind of show you what we've got here, and then I'm hoping I can start painting on it today. And I've picked the color. There's not a whole lot to choose from. I got online and searched for original colors. When I was a little kid, my mom loved these things. She had a Suzuki Samurai. We had Sidekicks. Now she has a Jeep Wrangler. So she's always been about the open top kind of off-roaders. And these Amigos, back in the late 80s, early 90s, when they were for sale here in the States, and they were very popular, it was very wild. The colors on them were just like teal green and pink and just all these weird colors with crazy graphics on the side. And I'm not going to go that far, but I picked a bright color. I just went with an orange, This is a Rust-Oleum gloss. I am going to try to make this somewhat pretty. I really didn't see anything that jumped out. All their greens and blues were a little too pastel, and that's not really what these had. It was more of a bright, festive color, you know. Think party supply store when you see an Isuzu Amigo back then. So we're going to go with orange. That's kind of the box art. Typically the lowered version, the box art was dark or bright blue. It was just kind of a blue, no real sparkle or nothing to it. And the four-wheel drive version was orange on the Tamiya box art. So I opted to go for the orange. I think it's going to be a good bright color. I think it's going to look good on here. Like I said, I don't plan on doing much with this other than painting it, driving it a few times, and letting it sit on the shelf and look pretty. Because it's pretty rare to find something that's, what, 25 years old now in the hobby that hasn't been abused or cut up. I know if I'd have had this as a kid, there wouldn't be anything left of it at this point. Going through the the late 2000s with the crawler surgence in the hobby, this thing would have been hacked up and put on some low-C MRC axles or something wild. You know, it's all the things I've wanted to do to one of these over the years, and I haven't been able to get the body. Now, if you're familiar with the channel, you know I do have another Amigo. So this guy's quite a bit different, but that is an original Tamiya body. I picked that up out of a Facebook group. I think I paid $100 for it. I just happened to run across it one night on my lunch break at work, and you know, the Amigo bodies were very hard to come by, but now since the re-release, we should start seeing more and more of them around. But same body, heavily modified, and it's on a RC 4-wheel drive Trailfinder 2 short wheelbase frame. So now we get a lowrider version of the Amigo. But yeah, it's something I've always wanted. And now that parts are going to be available again, it's going to be a fun little project. But I don't plan on doing a whole lot to it, just enjoying the history of it, I guess. So let me put my other Amigo back up, and we will take the body off, and I'll show you the chassis. Alright, so the body on these comes off pretty easily. The mounts are all hidden. You just push the bumper. The headlight popped out. And then it slides out of the back body post. See, we've got all of our windows bolted in, missing a couple screws. No biggie, I've got plenty of those Tamiya screws. And yeah, so this is the all original. Got the mechanical speed controller with the mount for the lever. And those operate kind of like a slot car controller. Got a separate heat sink that mounts in the back, and you have a forward reverse contact there, and you have a servo that pulls it back and forth. It's very simple, very primitive, but it works. Your steering servo is going to mount here, and we have our linkage as so. It's not, yeah, there's still quite a bit of slop in it. It's just how those are. It is four-wheel drive, but if you're not familiar with these, it's an independent front end. Basic bathtub style chassis. Nothing new. The re-release kits are all the same. Underneath, we've got no scratches or anything. We've got a metal drive shaft. Front skid plates and stuff are generic between the models. Plastic front A-arms. It's typical Tamiya kit. The lowering kit thing does come with these tires and wheels. I believe these are 2.2. And they're pretty cool. They don't look too big on there. We have a pretty good tire, and the tires are hard, but they're not cracked yet. So might have a little fun drifting with it. Even have the battery retainer and spring on there. Those are usually gone. Pretty basic stuff. So I'm gonna get started tearing the body apart, and we got to give it a good cleaning and start looking at painting it. So I got the body drying. I cleaned it real good in the shower. A lot of pressure, so there was a lot of dirt and dust built up in like the door cracks, and around the sunroof on the glass was just caked full of years of dust and debris. So I cleaned it up real good. I'm playing around right now. I've found some other paint. I had a whole bunch of this Tamiya TS34 camel yellow for plastic paint. I have half a can of Tamiya orange and a full can of Tamiya bright orange. And I know from painting with Tamiya paints, 1 can's not quite enough, especially on this kind of body. I think lots of light coats, I would probably need more than 1 can of Tamiya. So I'm considering this yellow, as I've had it for a while, and it probably wouldn't hurt to use it. I think I have 5 cans. I was going to paint a giant custom king hauler this color one time, but I ended up getting rid of it before. So I think I'm going to go ahead. It makes sense. I mean, this is vintage Tamiya. I want to keep Tamiya theme, so we'll use Tamiya paint. I also have, I believe I have some Tamiya clear, so I'm not sure. Oh, I've got 2 cans gloss. Alright. So I've got all this stuff. I need to use it. I've got 3 cans of clear. Hot dog. So maybe we can get a nice shiny finish. I know everybody's been on me about always rusting everything and yada yada. And this is one of those rare occasions where it's not gonna work. It needs to be shiny and good looking. So I think I'm gonna switch to the yellow. Lots of clear coat. It's actually about the storm here. I didn't know it was gonna rain. It's been hot and humid all day, and I was getting ready, got it clean, and was gonna get it outside and start getting some coats on it tonight. And it's thundering. So I'm not sure yet on when I'm gonna be able to do that, but I've got this old Futaba S3003. It is a plastic cheap servo like what would come with your basic Futaba radio in the 90s. So I think it works. That's about the only spare thing I know I have that might work. All my other, I've got some high torque, glitchy Savox metal gear mess that really don't need for this. I don't think I'm going to run the mechanical speed control just for safety. Back when you're a kid, it didn't matter if it got hot and melted the body, you know, whatever. But these days, this is a little, I want to hang on to this, you know, this means something to me. So I'm going to try to source a basic ESC. It would be nice if I could find one of the cheap Tamiya, what are their BEU basic ones that come in some of the kits. I had one of those in something and I don't know where it is. I have to do some looking around and see what I can find. But yeah, I'm going to try to get this body dry and maybe we can get a coat of paint on before the rain gets here. Alright guys, so it ended up raining. I couldn't get a coat of paint on the body today. I did go ahead and paint some of this flat black, the edges of the windows. My windshield, I'm probably going to look at replacing it. Let me put that over here to dry. I went ahead and painted the cowl black. It had some pretty serious scratches on the windshield, and I used some like headlight restore where you kind of wet sand it and polish it, and I didn't get the result I was looking for. Looks pretty good for about yay far away without the light hitting it, but it's pretty hazy, so thankfully that is the body's been re-released from Tamiya, and hopefully can pick up a set of the window stuff pretty inexpensively. So the chassis, I went ahead and installed some electronics. I went with the cheap Futaba plastic servo. Doesn't sound terrible. I even found an old Tamiya servo horn with the cushion on it, so it's fitting to the original. I did take the speed controller out, and I swapped in a Tamiya, what is this, a TEU 104BK. That was the one I was using in the sand scorcher in the background. I'm very short-handed on electronics, so I have to take some stuff out and reallocate it to the new build. I need to clean the wheels a little bit. I washed the chrome off pretty good with some high water pressure, and it shined right up. Still got the little scuffs on the front bumper, so I might try to eventually find one of those as well. But just got my Spectrum. This is a SR310, just a basic little receiver that I've had laying around. And yeah, I get to use a stick pack where it belonged finally. So yeah, we gotta wait for the weather to clear up. We get some of that Tamiya yellow paint on the body, and see how we do. I did scuff the body up after I washed it a little bit with some 2000 grit. There was some scratches and stuff on it as well from years of storage, so I smoothed it out a little bit. Didn't want to get too involved with body work because it didn't really have any bad casting lines. I know the Tamiya Jeep Wrangler's notorious for its casting marks, but that one's pretty straightforward. I didn't want to do a whole lot to it, just clean it up. But yeah, let's fast forward time and get some paint on it. Alright guys, so here it is. I love this little thing. I'm planning on driving it some. It won't be a basher by any means, but I gotta get it out and see what I missed out on in my childhood, you know. The CC01 chassis with the lowering kit. The lowering kit consists of springs and maybe shocks. I can't remember. I've got some the reproductions coming, so we'll do a little video on that. But it comes with these tires and wheels, and it also comes with a different spur gear to make it a little zippier, because you don't want your 4x4 off-road car rolling over all the time. So the lowered version comes with a little peppier gearing. But I'm pretty happy with how it came out. The body was, it was perfect, so I didn't have to do any body work or anything. And I put 1.5 cans of the Tamiya yellow, and then I did almost a full can of Tamiya clear coat. Now to me it doesn't really look that much shinier than it did before I put the clear coat, but you know, I had it, so I tried it. I painted some details by hand. I did the window edges and the windshield surround. I also did inside of the grill. Did behind the body, or behind the grill on the actual body. I blacked it out, and then I actually hand painted in between all of the grill, all the mesh, and wiped the front down, so we've got a little bit of depth to it. And as well as the Isuzu emblem, I painted that flat black and then wiped across the top to give it that look. Another issue with this was this front bumper. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's got these little line marks rubbed into the chrome from about here to that side. Not sure if it's actual like physical damage or it's deterioration in the chrome because of something that it was touching while it was in storage. But overall I'm pretty happy with this. So let me flip it around here to the other side. Some of this paint might still be wet, so I'm trying to touch it carefully. I just love that look of the lowered version of this. It's one of those things you look at in the catalog. Look at, what was it, Tower Hobbies catalogs I had when I was a kid, and 20-page ads and RC car action. But I don't know, we can still add some detail. Like at the side marker lights, tail lights, there's nothing there. It's just a molded effect. So we can always come back and try to paint that. I just don't have steady enough hand, especially at this late in the evening after work. So I'm not looking to do that. Here you can get a better look of the parts I painted on the top. I was trying to remember the green body I have on my short wheelbase TF2 came with the top and windows and everything. But because I wanted to do a full interior, and I trimmed all the mounts off the inside so the top wouldn't fit. And then I ended up selling it off, and I can't remember, I think it was painted on the inside. And it had a really cool effect, and I didn't do that this time. I painted it on the outside, so I don't know. Something I need to experiment with. But you can see some of the yellow on the edge of the body inside. So I may come back and paint that black as well, just to darken it up, because you don't want that to stand out too much. I didn't mount the spare tire. I do have that somewhere. Here it is. Spare tire and the front bumper. Just thought that seemed a little odd for a lowered vehicle to have the spare tire thing, so I'll leave it off for now. Rear bumper. It's nice shape. No damage on that. Just cleaned it up. All the chrome parts I just washed with some high pressure warm water and cleaned them up really well. Oh, I just smeared paint on my back window. Pretty happy with how it came out though. So, got it ready to run. Got my Tamiya ESC, my Spectrum hooked up, can motor, and a stick pack, just like I would have done it in 1995. Well, maybe I would probably run the mechanical speed controller in 95. I was a broke kid, but but let's get this thing outside and see how she does. Had a fun little drive with it. It's actually pretty peppy. Didn't have any issues except for some things that needed Loctite. The drive shaft came apart, and the front upper control arms, they're just plastic links. They snap in with a ball, like an M3 ball joint, and those need some ball joint. They need some Loctite as well. They backed out, and the front camber got worse. But it's actually pretty peppy. This version of this, which has not been re-released yet, I can't remember what they call it. It's a lowrider type version. Lowride. It's just the standard CC01 with the lowride set on it that you can buy separately. Those have been re-released, and I have some I bought just for the tires and wheels because I think these tires and wheels would look good on some other stuff. But I'll do a video on those here in the coming weeks. I do need a sticker set for it. Though I haven't seen any of the body sets available separately on the re-releases yet. They, I guess, are coming later. Knowing Tamiya, at some point they probably will re-release this version of the Amigo body with the lowrider set already on it. They have a Mitsubishi, one of the other Pajero bodies, not the hard body. I think it's the Lexan one, the newer style. And it does come pre-painted black with this lowered setup on it with these tires and wheels. But you can buy the lowering setup. If you have a CC01 that's just sitting around, you got bored with, or you got in the crawlers, I think those sets are about 40 bucks. You can lower it, put these tires and wheels on it, and have a nice little on-road machine. But anyway, appreciate you watching, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Follow on Instagram for updates, RC Everyday. Keep it scale. I'll see y'all in the next video.